Madam Chair, these bills raise the issue of a worker's freedom to choose to join a union or not join a union. They go directly to the issue of whether Missouri will be a right-to-work state or not. Anyone who thinks that Missouri is not in competition with other states for jobs, or indeed not in competition with other nations for jobs, I'd like to know who they are, because everything that we've done in the 17 years that I have been in the Missouri General Assembly is all designed to outcompete this state or outdo this place or one place or other to make Missouri more attractive. And we've been taking money from certain people in the state of Missouri and transferring it to others in hopes that maybe we can get jobs here or somehow or the other improve the economic climate in Missouri. Unfortunately, it's not working. We're approaching a 10% unemployment rate. 10% of Missourians who want to work can't find a job. And there are others who are already off the rolls that are probably, they've either stopped looking or they're underemployed. We're letting down those Missourians who want to work. And I think that's in large part because doing the same thing isn't going to work. And even what we have done, my own district has recently benefited from some of the work that we've done. We dramatically revamped the work that we did in trying to offer incentives to expand or retain our job base, but even that is no longer sustainable in this economy. Therefore, we have to take another look at why we have nearly a 10% unemployment rate when our surrounding states are much lower, as a general rule. I propose that one reason is that Missouri is a forced union state. Madam Chair, I will see to it that the members of the committee have this map, but I'm going to be handing you a map that shows the 2010 congressional census results and compare that to right-to-work states. This map is absolutely shocking when you look at it. If anyone has any doubt about where people stand on right to work, all they have to do is look at this map. It is clear that the job producers and the workers who take those jobs are migrating to right-to-work states. No one is forcing them to go to those states. They are choosing to go to those states with their jobs, and the workers who take those jobs are going there. With rare exception, and there is one, and Louisiana would be one, which I think is largely attributable to Katrina. On a whole, the right-to-work states, as a result of that, have picked up approximately 10 members of their congressional delegation in the new redistricting. Conversely, forced union states have lost congressional delegation, and with that, they lose clout in Congress. That means less federal dollars potentially flowing back to us. That means possibly less transportation dollars because of people moving to right-to-work states. Now, all states on Missouri's northern, western, and southern border are right-to-work states, and every one of those states has a lower unemployment rate. When you look, it's as much as 5 percentage points lower, with Nebraska being at 4.4%. I am using the most current Bureau of Labor Statistics data that was available as of December 2010. I just pulled it down off the internet last night. When you also look around, Tennessee is the only state that is right to work that is close to our unemployment rate. But in 2010, Tennessee actually gained jobs, whereas Missouri lost jobs in 2010. Kansas, right to work, 6.8% unemployment. Oklahoma, right to work, 6.8. Arkansas, 7.9. Iowa, 6.3. Illinois, a forced union state, 9.3 unemployment. Kentucky, a forced union state, 10.3 unemployment. As a result, this bill is really an employee freedom to choose. If employers and workers want a union, then they pay union dues and work pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement, just like the GM plant does that I can see from the borders of my district in Missouri, but the GM plant is in Kansas, a right-to-work state. There is nothing stopping them from doing that. This law does not prevent unions. It does not prevent employees from joining a union. It does prevent an employer from being forced to join, employees from being forced to join a union in order to take or keep a job Personally, I don't think any job should be held ransom for the price of union dues. Now, I represent an area in the greater Kansas City area that spans Kansas, Missouri. Kansas right to work. Missouri is a forced union state. Members who participate in our regional economic development councils recognize and have admitted to me as recently as last week that as they said on those councils that Missouri loses nearly a third of the jobs that we know about that they're looking to come to the Kansas, Missouri area. We're losing a third of those jobs because we are not a right-to-work state. That means a third of Missouri's applications seeking new employers and new job base are going straight in the trash. That is unacceptable for Missourians that want to work, and that's no doubt a contributing factor to Kansas' lower unemployment rate and our higher unemployment rate. Now, I'm not going to get into all the arguments, but just to briefly, because I know we want to move on to witnesses. You're probably going to hear from the opponents that, well, this is a right to work, but it's a right to work for lower wages. Okay, that's not true. You'll be hearing testimony that the per family income, when regional differences are taken, cost of living differences are taken into account, that actually the per family income in right to work states is higher. Secondly, businesses that have unions, the opponents may say that businesses that have unions will somehow no longer be able to work their business plan. That is not true. If they want to continue to be a union shop, then go for it. If the employees want to continue to be in there, then go for it. And also, if that were true, then after Oklahoma passed their right-to-work law in 2001, that means that there would have been a flood of businesses leaving Oklahoma, and that was not the case. Once again, their unemployment rate lower. I'm going to let a lot of the witnesses deal with some of the other factors in opposition that you may be hearing, but one thing that I want to address, because it's something that I have knowledge about directly from my profession as an attorney. You may be hearing testimony that the workplace injuries go up in non-union shops. Now, if anybody would know about that, it would be work comp lawyers. I just got off the phone earlier this afternoon to verify this with one of the top workers' compensation lawyers in the Kansas, Missouri area. He's licensed to practice in both states. He said it's nonsense. There is no indication from the workers' compensation claims that he is aware of that there are more workplace injuries in Kansas, a right-to-work state, than in Missouri, and he has no knowledge at all, even anecdotal, of any evidence to point to a higher incidence of injury or that he does more work of those employees there. Lastly, I do also believe that it honestly, having a right-to-work state, makes unions more accountable to the workers that they purport to serve. If you cannot leave without leaving your job, then why? If there's nothing, if you don't lose union dues, if you don't lose anything by not serving the people that you're supposed to serve, then why? They can't walk away without walking away from their job. So I ask for your approval of this legislation, and I have many witnesses, and I'm sure there are many witnesses in opposition, so I will conclude and take questions. Okay.
And I don't mean this question to be abrasive. That's not my style. Is your intent to eliminate or directly impair organized labor or unions from existing in our state and the ability of employers to be able to enter in collective bargaining agreements with their employees?
Senator, I would answer that with a question to you. Do you believe that unions are totally ineffective and that people are unable to enter into collective bargaining agreements in the states that are right to work?
No, but it's very clear on the first page that when you say that employees don't have to pay union dues, I know for me, if I was given the option that the voters in Jefferson County passed a tax for our college a few years ago, 50% plus one voted for that, much like we were elected by 50% plus one of our voters, that if you would give the voters an option to pay the tax or not pay the tax, over time, people will refuse to pay that tax. If you give the option to employees in a collective bargaining agreement to pay dues or not pay dues, and by the way, the collective bargaining agreement, they talk about things like wages, insurance, pension, drug testing, which almost everybody in the labor industry mandates, that over time people are going to say, well, if I can still get the benefits of the collective bargaining agreement but not pay any dues, what rational person would disagree that people would quit paying dues?
Senator, if the benefits are that good, and the retirement is that good, and the health benefits are that
Right.
good, why would you not pay your dues?
My point, because people will get things for free if they can. That's human nature.
And I would disagree in that people clearly still choose to belong to unions in right-to-work states, unless you are implying, which I don't think you are, that the unions, and the pensions, and the benefits in right-to-work states are ineffectual and of no benefit to their
Well,
employees.
I think what we've seen in the states that went right to work was a decreased membership in union membership over time. I mean,
They still function.
If your bill does pass, it's not going to happen right now. This is something that's going to happen over time. And when we're talking about, depending on who you ask, union membership is around 10 to 15% of the workforce.
Agreed. And it has dropped through the years, even though Missouri is a union state.
That's right. I guess I'll save some of the other questions for some of the other witnesses, but thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Quick question. You've been in business, did you say over 50 years your company has been, and you've been an open shop or a non-union this whole time frame. It's interesting that your testimony and the testimony from the first witness are so completely different. She wants a union shop and you prefer not to have one. My question to you is, have you found it difficult to do business in Missouri because of your stance? And have you ever given any consideration to leaving Missouri because of our union presence?
We've not found it difficult to do business. And after 50 years, we're not leaving.
What factors would attract you? Or let's say if any of our states on our borders, as Senator Ridgway mentioned, there are some who are doing better in terms of their unemployment and other factors in the state. What would be attractive to you to leave Missouri? What would encourage you to go somewhere else?
Well, I think you would need to understand that we're a family business. Most of the people that work for us are from our community. Their extended family lives in that community. It's highly unlikely that any of us are going somewhere else.
I'm saying if you made a business decision, you wouldn't do it, is your point.
Well, tax rates, regulatory burdens, those types of things certainly enter into a decision of where a business will locate.
But for you,
We have no plans to move.
Your climate has been good business climate for
Yes.
50 years. Would you, it seems to me, because we do have union and non-union shops and have had them for many, many decades, I don't see the purpose for right to work because you have choice. You've chosen, she's chosen. What are we talking about here? That's not your question, that's a rhetorical one.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking if people have a choice, give them the choice. Make it a legal choice.
You've demonstrated that, and so has she. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm putting myself in the questions that Senator Nieves was asking. Okay, I own a company.
Okay.
Somebody comes in and gets all my employees to join this. All of a sudden, they're kind of like not my employees anymore. Can I just say, you know what? If you don't want to work for me, you're fired. I'm going to start my company with new people. Can that happen?
No, you cannot do that.
That's like a hostile takeover of a private business.
As a business owner could certainly look at it that way.
But you have no right in America to say, sorry, this was my company. I'm going to start all over again with employees that want to work for me.
You could close the company and move somewhere else, I suppose.
Do you have to move
That
to another
happens, too.
state?
You would have to cite economically valid reasons. You'd have to basically you would have to be able to defend the move before the NLRB, saying I'm not just firing my workforce and hiring new people. I had economic reasons to go somewhere else, other than simple, I don't want a union.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Madam Chairman. My name is Ron Keevan. I represent Ron Keevan. I also represent Keevan Heating and Cooling Company, a geothermal heating contractor out of New Haven, Missouri. New Haven, Missouri is in Franklin County. We just found out this past weekend Franklin County has the highest unemployment rate in the state as well as the nation. Some of our unemployment comes from the fact that a lot of our people in Franklin County worked at the Chrysler plant in St. Louis County, and they're now unemployed because the plant is being torn down. I'm here to tell you a story. I've been on both sides of the union issue. I came out of trade school on a Friday night, graduated, and worked Saturday morning at time and a half as a union employee. I took that union employmentship all the way into the armed forces and had my job waiting for me when I got back, thanks to the union and my employer, and went back to work for a year and a half. Took over a small company that was non-union, made it a union contracting company, went into work there with a partner, worked our way up and had 2 additional employees. When we talk about labor agreements and working with the union, I had my business agent walk in 3 months prior to my new contract and say, "Ron, you can't work anymore. You have to put your tools down. You're an owner. You can no longer be an operator." I looked at the man and asked him, "Do you know what your job description is, sir? I pay you a stipend every month to protect my job, not to take it away from me." The answer I got back was, "Don't fight us on this, we'll put you out of business." 50% of my workforce was going to be gone because I had a partnership at that time. I elected to try to survive. Couldn't survive with 50% of my workforce not being able to produce. So we went non-union or open shop. I survived well, and I grew, and I grew. And I grew to a point where I had 26 employees. And I got targeted. And within 6 months, the unions took 47 years of experience out of my small little company. They gave a big apple, I guess. I was paying equal or more wages, the equal benefits. I'm in a technical area in heating and cooling. If you don't pay the right wages, you don't keep your people. I had my people kept, and they were happy until it was all taken away because I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go back to the union. I think we're all missing the point here. And I don't want to make this a union, non-union issue. I didn't come here to burn old bridges. They're behind me, and I hope they stay there. Senator Ferguson has the right idea. We here, I am representing a contracting firm. I've heard many union people here representing contracting firms. Excuse me, who's representing manufacturing? My father was born in 1898. He told me as a young cub going to work, if you don't produce something that is sellable, you will not survive. Our state is losing our manufacturing, and it's losing it because we don't have right to work. Please consider right to work.